Guys playing musical chairs.
Yeah, that's it. Start the music. It should be straightforward and uphold the staff decision. I don't know. I should go morning tonight. Yes, that's what they're trying to do is the decision. So just say date and time. And we'll post it.
You're on, sir. We're ready.
Is it soup? Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to the Yuba County Board of Supervisors meeting. First of all, I'd like to announce that the Land Use and Public Works Committee, 2 items, 333-2021 and 335-2021 have been moved to a time certain of August 27th at 8:50 a.m. And we will continue with the Yuba County Board of Supervisors meeting. We will call that to order. Due to the absence of the chair and vice chair, the first order of business will be to select a chair pro tem. I will now take nominations, please.
I nominate Andy Vasquez.
I second.
Okay, we will do a roll call vote. Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent, and Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Thank you. I will now turn the gavel over to Chair Pro Tem.
Okay. Let's see. We're going to call the meeting to order, the Tuesday, July 13th, regular Board of Supervisors agenda. It's an in-person meeting with the Zoom meeting. Were you going to read that?
Yes, in-person meeting. The board meeting will be open to in-person attendance to remain in compliance with the state's public health guidance and Cal OSHA COVID-19 emergency temporary regulations. Masks will be encouraged to be worn by individuals who are not fully vaccinated while inside the government center and while in the board chambers. Zoom meeting. The board proceedings are available via Zoom, and you may participate in public comment by using the raise hand function. Executive Order N 29-20 authorizes local legislative bodies to hold public meetings via teleconference and to make public meetings accessible telephonically or otherwise electronically to all members of the public. Members of the public are encouraged to observe and participate in the teleconference.
Do the Pledge of Allegiance now. Read it. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Here.
Supervisor Blazer,
Here.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Here.
Supervisor Bradford is absent. Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Thank you.
All right, next item is consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion.
I would like to pull item 351-2021 from the consent agenda.
351. There's 21, Health and Human Services. Okay. We will decide on the consent agenda, the rest of the items. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the rest of the items.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent. Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Thank you.
All right, we had item 351, 2021 pulled for further discussion. Health and Human Services approved memorandum of understanding with Sutter County Health and Human Services for the Family Urgent Response System and authorized the chair to execute. Seth?
So we had spoke, I believe, at a meeting on the 22nd of last month, and there was going to be a presentation. It wasn't going to go to the consent agenda, was the determination at that, with alternatives being presented to the board. And so that's why I was surprised to see it on the consent agenda. I assume that was an error. So is that something that we can present on today? Great.
Probably not.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Jamie Bartolome, and I am the Program Manager for Child and Adult Protective Services at the Health and Human Services Department. I'm coming before you to request that you consider approving a memorandum of understanding with Sutter County Department of Health and Human Services to operate a family urgent response system known as FIRST. The memorandum of understanding is contained in the board packet. Youth in foster care deserve to be raised in safe, stable, and loving homes. They need our support to be healthy, succeed in school, and become independent adults long after their experiences, in the child welfare system. The Health and Human Services Department aims to ensure youth in foster care thrive. We also advocate for changes in the health, education, and early childhood systems that support improved outcomes for youth in foster care. Senate Bill 80 and Assembly Bill 79 requires counties to submit a coordinated plan to the California Department of Social Services, which describes the county-based mobile response system. Counties may implement their plan on a per-county basis or may collaborate with other counties to establish regional cross-county mobile response systems. These mandated services are for current and former foster youth up to 20 years old and their caregivers who reside in Yuba County. The mobile response system and stabilization teams must be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Counties were provided state funding with strict guidelines on the level of staffing expertise needed for the response teams. The primary component of FIRS teams is the inclusion of a behavioral health clinician. The clinician must be skilled in therapeutic crisis intervention, de-escalation techniques, suicide assessments, trauma-informed care practices with the ability to identify pain-based behaviors which could result in stress, aggression, self-injury infliction. The Sutter and Butte counties collaborated to develop a regional response team. Having all 3 counties working together allows the FERS response teams to meet the 24/7 requirements and respond within the minimum of 2-hour response team members. Response times could require a team to be on site of the possible placement disruption within 1 hour. The plan is a proactive approach and will assist in foster youth avoiding placement disruption. Preserving placement and keeping families connected is one of the primary goals. Multiple placement disruptions can lead to delayed permanency outcomes, academic difficulties, and struggling to develop meaningful attachments. Also, children are at risk of developing behavioral challenges when stable placements are disrupted. Each time a child moves from one home to another, it can create trauma. Placement disruptions increase the chances of the youth to be placed into higher levels of care with embedded behavioral health programs, psychiatric institutions, hospitalization due to self-harm or suicide attempts, interactions with law enforcement. Sutter UB Behavioral Health selected as the lead entity because FERS requires a mental health clinician be included in the response team, and Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health has the expertise to oversee the mental health services that would be contracted with a third-party vendor to ensure service delivery meets expectation and utilizes the appropriate evidence-based practices. This partnership will fulfill the necessary mandates required of the FERS response team to provide in-home de-escalation, stabilization, conflict resolution, and support services and resources. Additionally, the benefits include decreasing the frequency of children changing placement locations, alleviating the time child welfare employees spend searching for a new placement for the child. As a child moves from one home to another, their specific case plan needs increase, and finding the right home to fulfill those needs become increasingly difficult, in addition to being very time-consuming for our staff. As the child's needs increase, so does the cost of placement. Placement costs for a child with high-level needs can reach over $14,000 a month. If approved, this contract will aim to provide trauma-informed alternatives for family who previously resorted to calling 911 or law enforcement, reduce hospitalizations and placement in out-of-home facilities, improve retention of current foster caregivers, provide current and former foster youth and their caregivers with immediate trauma-informed support when requested, prevent placement disruptions and preserve the relationship between the child and their caregiver, promote healing as a family, and increase stability for youth in foster care. This past year, we had a youth whose placement was disrupted 13 times. 2 of these resulted in her being in our office for a total of 13 days. And it made finding placement very difficult. The state was impressed with the model developed between Butte, Sutter, and Yuba. Representatives from our department were even asked to present at the recent state convening regarding our multi-county FERS approach, and many counties are now interested in exploring a multi-county design similar to the one we are proposing you approve today. The cost is $354,806 for a 2-year period, which is July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023. The state has allocated the funds to the counties, and there is no general fund. The agreement is going to Sutter County's Board of Supervisors today at 3 p.m. The parties in this agreement are anxiously awaiting the response to the outcome of this agenda item. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I do have a few.
Sure.
So part of the grant, I would think, is something like $450. We're doing $350 towards it. So we're keeping $100,000 for admin costs. So that's in excess of 20%. I'm curious, what does over 20% admin costs consist of on our side, since Sutter County is taking the lead on it?
Supervisor Chair Vasquez. So part of that admin cost is required for us. Part of it was for us creating the actual plan itself. And then also part of the responsibilities that we have are reporting to the states or any of the follow-up that we have to do. So just having the program in place, there are still statistics that need to be created to report to the state on a on-call basis. So basically, they would like to know the type of situation that we respond to, and then we also have to do the contracting itself with keeping the checks and balances with the vendor itself.
And so that'll be about $100,000?
They're thinking for part of the work that we've put in for as well, like the time that we've put in this year, just into creating that program, yes.
And each of the county had about the same ratio. So each county has about $100,000 of
Yes, that's correct.
reporting that they're going to do.
Yes, so each county, based upon projections from the state, they gave an allocation. So our allocation is the same as Sutter County.
And then at the end of the 2 years, what is there expected to be another grant of the same sort? So it's going to be a every 2-year grant, or will there be no more funding from the state at that point and we're going to continue it on our own dime, or how does that work?
So the original part of this allocation came down, and then during the time of COVID, there was some budget issues to determine whether this program was going to move forward or not. And then after determining that we were in a stable environment as far as finances, the state did allocate that money for us. And then they said, you're going to have this allocation for the next 2 years. So usually with those type of things, probably by the mid-year of the next fiscal year, we'll have an idea if this allocation is going to be brought back to us again.
Okay, so it's not definitive one way or the other as of right now.
That's correct.
So in 2 years, the program could go away.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. And then one of the things we'd spoke at the last meeting was there were alternatives that were examined, but they were considered to be less cost effective. And there was going to be some information about those alternatives. Do you happen to have that with you?
So we did look at alternatives, and the alternative would be hiring additional staff to be able to respond and in the 24/7 period. Just hiring the additional staff needed would be over $1 million. And that's not even including the behavioral health component staff that we need to be a part of the team to respond.
All right, thank you.
So it sounds like a key component is the trained clinician.
Exactly.
And what pool of trained clinicians do you have?
That would be through our Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health. So they are the bi-county behavioral health that we have with Sutter County. So that's the reason Sutter County is going to be the lead.
And our supervisor Blazer and our division itself here at Health and Human Services, we don't have those individuals that are trained clinicians. And then from a standpoint from Yuba Sutter Behavioral Health, covering 2 counties, their pool of employees to cover that response, they don't have that as well. And so that's the reason why we're looking to do this contract with an actually certified vendor who meets those requirements that can provide those services.
Did I catch it right? Did you say you average about 1 a month?
As far as the first.
Yeah, that you have to react to?
No, we
Oh,
have several
Yeah,
calls.
we have several.
Okay.
The one that the last year that I explained, the 13 disruptions, that was just average of what we had last year. But we constantly have disruptions, and just having one child in our office for 13 nights, that's a lot of work for our staff for 24/7 to supervise and work on trying to find new placement, because each time a child loses placement, and these are children with severe behavioral, it's really difficult to find a new home for them. So them losing placement, if we had FERS for this child that I talked about, we could have preserved placement possibly for that child instead of having to then have her back in our office. And
So I imagine with COVID and everything, it's probably escalated some.
exactly.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for the update.
Okay, any questions from the public? Okay. This is the first of its kind.
Yes, the first of its
Well,
kind.
thank you very much for taking the effort to put something together that takes a new tact toward the problem. Can't continue to do the same thing over and over again. All right. Okay. Let's see.
Do we need a
We need a
motion?
motion.
Probably to approve.
We motion approved.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Pried it out of. We need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Any further comments from the public? Roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent, Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Motion passes.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Public communication, I think, is our next thing.
Any person may speak about any subject of concern, provided it is within the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors and is not already on today's agenda. The total amount of time allotted for receiving such public communication shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Prior to this time, speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card and submit it to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. If you are participating via Zoom and wish to comment, please use the raise hand function or *9 if participating on a phone. Please note, no board action can be taken on comments made under this heading. Through the chair, we do have cards. The first one we have is Hedy Dutra.
All right, Eddie?
Hi, my name is Hedy Dutra, and I'm here to represent the Pave Waldo Road group. It's we have collected 326 signatures to the Board of Supervisors out on Waldo Road, and the majority of those were Yuba County residents. However, we also got 400 petitions on change.org petition sites. And that comprises 726 total signatures to pave the road. So we believe that we have a lot of concerned citizens of Yuba County, as well as some other counties. We were quite surprised by the overall amount of people that use Spencerville Wildlife and Recreation Area. The second reason that I think you should pave the road is because the annual cost of maintaining the 1.8 miles is between $60,000 and $120,000 per annum. I got a bid to pave the road for $80,000 from a private contractor. Now, clearly, the county has different parameters that they must follow, so it would cost the county more than $80,000 to pave the road. However, getting out from under the annual maintenance would make it worthwhile financially. Spencerville is owned by the state of California and managed by the Department of Fish and Wildlife. It consists of more than 11,000 acres, most of which is accessed by either Waldo Road or Far West Road. Those two are both county roads. And yet, Waldo Road is entirely within Spencerville. It is the only thing that is on both sides of the 1.8 miles of Waldo Road. With that, and the fact that we know that people, for instance, from Nevada County are paying their gas taxes, probably those do not go in the Yuba County coffers. And so we think it would be appropriate to ask the state of California to share in the cost of maintaining these county roads. Unfortunately, I misplaced or left behind some documents for all of you so that you have something to study and refresh your memory, and I apologize for that. Recently, Mike Lee, the Director of Public Works, agreed to do a traffic count. We believe that would show that there is far more traffic on Waldo Road than is currently expected. And the road being gravel is part of the reason, part of what I got from the people that signed the petitions was that their equipment is falling apart. Their cars have to have tires more often. The oil has to be changed, the shocks, and so on and so on. So as a result of all that, they are really, it's almost a form of taxation that they find, especially that's true of the commuters, but also the user groups that use Spencerville.
All right.
So we hope to
You need to wrap it up, please.
My time's up. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Do we have another card?
Yes, next person we have is Courtney Ortega.
Good day, gentlemen. I've given you a hard copy today in a manila envelope and emailed you yesterday a copy of 2 resolutions which my political activist group and many other local community members are hoping that you will create into an actionable item. and pass to protect and support our community. The first resolution is to make a stand against children being forced to don masks and face coverings at stores, schools, sports, and other recreational activities. In that resolution, it explains the science as to why masks are harmful to children and why children not wearing face coverings is not a threat to anyone in the community. In addition, there is another resolution requesting the immediate prohibition of vaccine passports, mandatory vaccination, or proof of vaccination being exercised by any entity in the county. This resolution would set a precedence for all employers who may be requiring their employees to take the shot, schools requiring kids to take the shot, businesses requiring patrons entering their establishment to take the shot, or even government agencies requiring their clients or patients to take the shot in order to receive services. We are asking that the Board of Supervisors protect its citizens from such injustice and discrimination. Medical practice and procedure are private decisions made by an individual, a family, and a well-known health practitioner. It is not appropriate to have the owner of your welding mill, the union representative of your school board, or anyone who is not your personal doctor make those decisions for you. In addition, this drug is experimental and has had hundreds of thousands of adverse reactions. An even stronger reason why people should not be coerced into taking it because they need to keep their job or want their kids to be able to go to school or want the same rights as anyone else. If this drug is truly what it is supposed to be, then there should not be so much of the carrot and the stick to coerce people into taking it. If it is truly something that would protect so many, everyone would make that decision on their own. As of today, there is no law in this state requiring schools, employers, or private businesses to produce medical records of patrons, students, or employees. Likewise, there is no OSHA order of the like. All business owners, franchise managers, principals, and superintendents are acting independently. This resolution, which forbids this type of behavior, would impact all of those living within our county in a good way. It would do nothing to stop those who so desperately want a shot. However, it would mean the world to those who do not want this shot, but feel like they could lose their livelihood or normal access to civilization if they would not take it. In a lot of ways, these consequences of not taking it present not a fair choice to individuals at all. For all those who have been parents, you understand that you can coerce a choice out of a child by, in the end, not giving them a choice at all. You can make that decision for them. Please uphold the rights of your community by choosing to agendize and pass this resolution so those in your community can retain their rights to choose their own destiny and medicine for themselves. And this discrimination in our county today, please. I am requesting that these resolutions be immediately adopted to a future agenda. Thank you.
All right, next card.
Through the chair, before I call the next person, I wanted to make a correction. The Land Use and Public Works Committee will be a date certain of July 27th, 2021 at 8:50 a.m. I believe I quoted August. So that has been changed to July 27th, 2021. Thank you. And the next person we have is Bonnie Hughes, and I believe she is via Zoom.
Bonnie?
Yes, hello? Okay, yes. I also, please, I also plead for you to end this discrimination in our county today and to please consider drafting this resolution and passing it. As of July 7th, there have been 438,440 reports from the COVID shot made to United States, the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. VAERS is known for only representing 1% of true adverse events due to the massive red tape and hoops it makes doctors jump through in order to report to the database. In the past, if a drug had more than 50 adverse reactions or deaths, it was pulled from the market. This shot has killed more people today than all the vaccines in the past 30 years of history combined. So far reported to VAERS, there have been 9,048 deaths. That's an increase of more than 2,000 compared with the previous week. 26,818 hospitalizations, 56,970 urgent care needs, 2,152 anaphylaxis episodes, 2,486 cases of Bell's palsy, 7,463 people now considering disabled after what the shot did to them, 3,324 heart attacks, 985 miscarriages. Remember, VAERS is known for only representing 1% of a reaction. Multiply that by 99. 3 months ago in April, it was 58,869 for the adverse. Now it's 438,000, 2,342 deaths in April, now 9,048. I also want to make you aware of Chile, which is one of the highest COVID jab rates in the world. 58% of the population have received 2 doses and 75 have received their first dose. And yet, as of June 10th this year, Santiago has locked down again after the capital reported the highest COVID-19 case numbers since the beginning of the pandemic. Variants are unlikely to pose significant risk to people with natural immunity compared to the original virus due to the body's ability to recognize and attack the variants, up to 80% dissimilar from the original. SARS-CoV-2 variants are 0.3 dissimilar. However, more fully vaccinated people compared to first dose people have actually died from this Delta variant. According to Public Health England PHE, of the 42 Britons who had died with the Delta variant in June had received 2 doses of the gene therapy shot compared to just 7 single dose recipients. More importantly, June 11th, PHE reported shows that as a hospital patient, you're 6 times more likely to die of the COVID Delta virus. Of those admitted to the hospital, the rate of death for unvaccinated people were 0.1175%. Those who received the shots rate, their
Wait,
death was
You're going to have
18.5.
to,
I will finish up. I've got 30 seconds. Finally, when it comes to children, there were 13,385 total adverse events. That was 801 rated as serious, 14 reported deaths. That's in the 12 to 17-year-olds. This shot is not safe. It's not effective. It is experimental, and we are the experiment. And we should end this county's campaign of the people protect themselves by doing their own research and then make an informed choice on whether to put themselves at risk as well. We need all of you to support the community and to allow for individuals to make private medical decisions for themselves and with their health practitioners and not be bullied and pressured. Please, it's extremely important issue for this attention today. Please consider drafting and passing this resolution. Thank you for listening to me.
thank you very much.
Next person we have is Rebecca Carlson.
Gentlemen, I'm part of the crew here. I'm supposed to read this. I'm not good at following things like that. I just speak from my heart. And this is something we've already asked you. We've been to previous board meetings last month. We've asked you, we told you this was coming, and now it's here, and there's flyers and there's mobile things going around this community, trying to encourage people to get a jab, an experimental gene vaccine therapy. This thing is dangerous. It's killing people. And where is your responsibility in this? You are our leaders. People are not being informed as to what this really is. And so Nuremberg codes right here. It says the foundation of ethical medicine, no one may be coerced to participate in a medical experiment. And that's exactly what this is. It's a medical experiment. Dr. Liu needs to be fired. She should not be over any of these counties. She's not even experienced. She's never even seen patients. That lady needs to be fired. And this is something that we've asked you guys already to put on. So I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you work for me. Remember, the government, you guys work for us. And this is, I'm speaking not on behalf of myself. I'm speaking, if people really were informed, and unfortunately, I don't know why they're not, but they'd be fired up. But you guys, this is a resolution. You guys can pass this resolution and keep people in this county safe. If they want to get it. That's fine. That's their choice. But you cannot make me get it. You cannot make somebody else get it. My work cannot make me get it. It's a violation of the Constitution. It's a violation of my rights. It's a violation of the Nuremberg. You guys remember Germany, Nazi Germany? I'm fired up because that's what's happening. This is communism, and it's right here in America, and it pisses me off. Gavin Newsom, he's the leader of it, one of the numerous leaders, these elitist rich folks who are in bed with China. And it's not, this is real. Do you understand? It's happening right here in our community. This calls for action. What have you guys done in the past 2 weeks to decrease government, to decrease regulations in our community? How about the fact that homeless people have more rights, and I'm a property owner and I have to go through all these permits and work my butt off and pay taxes? Like, this is unbelievable. Decrease government, but this is about the vaccine. Read it, put the resolution on the next week's agenda, or 2 weeks from now. I'm gonna be here, other people will be here. Put it on there, vote on it, make it happen, do something.
Thank you.
Next person we have is Genesis. He is on via Zoom.
All right, Genesis.
Hello. Thank you, guys. I wanted to talk to you about the resolution that's being proposed, the two resolutions that are being proposed today. I looked over the resolutions, and really, I don't see much of anything, if anything, that seems controversial, even controversial on these two resolutions. It's basically, if we were to read these resolutions in 2019, it would just kind of be like, well, yeah, this stuff is obvious. Of course, this stuff is true. Of course, we have the right to choose what medical interventions we want. Of course, we have the right to have our doctor confer with our doctor and have informed consent of medical interventions that we have. And we don't want to be coerced by employers or businesses into using medical interventions like masks and this quote vaccine, this shot. Of course, we want those choices. Of course, that is a right that we have. And so, to me, this is very simple. There's nothing really controversial on here. What I would ask is that you put this on the agenda, these two resolutions on the agenda for next meeting, and hear from some people, some of your constituents, about what they think about it, about their experiences, about how they're getting this shot because their work is telling them that they have to. I know people who are in that situation, people who have families, fathers, who are getting the shot because they need to support their families and they feel that this is the only way to do it. So I can bet that you probably know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody who's in that situation. And we're all in the situation where we're going to stores, and now we're starting to see these signs on store windows. We were seeing the mask signs, and now we're starting to see signs that, oh, now you're okay to not wear a mask as long as you're fully vaccinated, quote, fully vaccinated. And if you're not wearing a mask, you are attesting that you are fully vaccinated. So now if I'm walking in with my free face, as I've been doing this entire time, breathing freely the air around me as a free American, as a free citizen of Yuba County, I'm now lying. This is insanity. So I think all we're asking here is for you to stop the insanity, for you to participate in the stopping of the insanity. There's nothing crazy on these resolutions that I can see. But what we're asking is that let's talk about it. Let's talk about it at the next meeting. Let's get these two resolutions on the agenda and hear from the people of this county about them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further cards?
Through the chair, we have no more cards.
Okay. All right, next items on the agenda are special presentations. We have two. One is going to be a proclamation of Casa de Esperanza recognizing July 2021 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And is Amy or Magdalena here? Okay. All right. One of the nice things about this. And then we're going to have a video, I understand, soon. Is that correct? Sexual assault awareness month, July 2021. Whereas sexual assault is an intolerable, violent crime in public health communications for every person. Should have known better. Thank you. As a victim, survivor, or as a family member, significant other, neighbor, or coworker of a victim, survivor, and whereas no one person, organization, agency, or community can eliminate sexual assault on their own, we must work together to educate our entire population about what can be done to prevent sexual assault. Support victim survivors and their significant other, and increase support for agencies providing services to victims and survivors. And whereas Casa de Esperanza has led the way in addressing sexual assault by providing 24-hour hotline services to victims, survivors, and their significant others, responding to emergency calls, offering support and comfort to those impacted by sexual assault during medical exams, criminal proceedings, and empowering those impacted by sexual assault to chart their own course for healing. And whereas ending sexual assault must include active public and private efforts to end sexual violence in collaboration with Casa de Esperanza, including conversation about what sexual violence is, how to prevent it, how to help survivors, connect with crucial counseling and other supportive services, and how every segment of our society can work together to better address sexual violence. And whereas staff and volunteers of sexual assault programs work year-round to encourage every person to end sexual violence and to support survivors by providing prevention education and survivor empowerment information to schools, churches, civic organizations, as well as medical, mental health, law enforcement, education, and criminal justice personnel regarding sexual assault issues. And whereas Casa de Esperanza has set an important example of how forging collaborative relationships between service agencies and organizations serves to improve the quality of service for those most profoundly and directly impacted by sexual violence. It's an important example for how the rest of the community might work together to speak out and find solutions to sexual violence. And whereas Casa de Esperanza requests public support and assistance as it continues its efforts to bring real hope for freeing victims from the tragedy of sexual violence to create a future where all women, men, and children can now live free from violence and exploitation. Now therefore be it resolved that the Yuba County Board of Supervisors, in recognition of the important work done by sexual assault programs in cooperation with Casa de Esperanza, hereby proclaims the month of July 2021 that no means no. Women and men working together can make a difference in the fight against sexual assault and gender violence in our community. Are you going to get a picture? You want to say?
Yes,
Would you like to?
Hello, everyone. My name is Magdalena, and I'm the Sexual Assault Project Director of Casa de Esperanza. I just really want to thank everyone, including this board, for their support. It is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and for the month of July, we will be hosting a few events. I believe they will be coming out on the paper this Wednesday, but one of them that I would really like to promote is we're doing a self-defense class this Friday in Yuba City, and you're able to register online at Casa de Esperanza's Facebook page or just give us a call. Or another way to participate is we will be hosting the Men's March, a walk a mile in her shoes, at the Yuba City Mall on the 24th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm going to say a few words and then introduce the employee that we're going to be recognizing and acknowledging here today. So, Mr. Chairman, board, staff, it truly is an honor for me to be here to recognize one of our employees here. Tino, you need to come up here, buddy. This is about you. So, we have a short video that I'll play, but I have a few words that I want to speak. And Tino kind of represents everything that I'm about to say. So, most of the headlines that you hear today regarding law enforcement across the nation are regarding officers who have done something wrong or who have perceived to have done something wrong. You rarely hear about the good deeds that occur on a daily basis. Men and women across our nation don their vests and safety equipment every day and head out to their work areas, not knowing what they're going to encounter or whether they're going to go home that night. They do this for various reasons, but for the most part, they do it because they care. They care about their communities, their partners, and their loved ones. They do this for various reasons, but the bottom line is that they care about their community. Tino was born and raised in this community. He serves this community, and I can't think of a better story. And Tino stands here very humble. We have the family of the young boy. I have no doubt that Tino saved that young man's life on that day. And just to give you a little bit of perspective, the Sheriff's Department was piloting some body cameras at this time that the event occurred. And you're going to see some video. It's not easy to watch, and I'm sure that the family won't find it easy to watch. But I think it's important just to show the dedication and devotion that Tino and others like him have for their communities that they serve. You'll notice the first 30 seconds or so of the video has no volume, and that's because he didn't activate his camera intentionally. It was an accident. So the actual sound doesn't, it goes back 30 seconds for the footage, but the sound doesn't start until you actually push the button. So that's why you're gonna see about 30 seconds here. Baby Leo is here. I saw him come in and his mother, the Alvarado family. And I know that they're appreciative, and Tino is, he's already received the Bronze Medal of Merit, and well deserved. He now enters into a group of very distinguished and a small group with the Sheriff's Department. But I couldn't be prouder to be here talking about Tino today and what he's done for the Alvarado family and for our community. We could be grieving the loss of a young child right now instead of celebrating the saving. So Leo has a long life ahead of him and hopefully accomplishes great things. So without further ado, I'll try to get the video started.
Emergency. Hello? Get an emergency to my house, please. What's your address? My little son is breathing. He was in the shower. How old is he? How old is he? He's 1 year. He's 1 year. Okay. Does he have a pulse? Listen, does he have a pulse? Do you want to do CPR? Yes, he has a pulse. He has a pulse. Okay, stay on the phone. I'm going to get you to the ambulance. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. Hold on. Hold on. Fire rescue's coming out to you. It's a 1-year-old that's not breathing.
On Tyler?
Affirmative.
En route. Clear that call. There's nobody up there.
10-4.
Jared 14, nice zone.
10-4.
Further night zone.
10-4.
You okay? Okay. Are you okay? You okay? You okay? Are you okay? You okay? Are you okay? How old is he? How old is he? How old?
1 years old.
1?
Yes. And his eyes kept rolling back.
You good? Baby? What's his name? Leo, baby. Say mama. Can you say mama? Can you say mama? Okay. Hey, buddy. Can you say mama? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Oh, he's breathing. He's breathing.
Yeah, he was. I was going back to the. He was in the shower. He's in the shower. And
maybe got the water on his foot.
Probably.
Oh, there you go. There you go, boy. There you go, baby.
Es que son como un florido bien fuerte.
You okay? Does he talk?
No.
No?
He only says mama, papa, that's it.
There's his eyes. How was his eyes? Is he looking?
Yeah, he was not. He was. His eyes were going back. Hey, buddy.
Gargled up something.
Did he?
Yeah. Like sounded like water fluid.
Maybe some water right there. Maybe.
You see mama?
Is that mama? Vente. It's okay.
Are you okay?
But his eyes were like rolling back, and he wouldn't like.
Let me see. Have you done this before?
No.
Hey, you're good. He's good. You're good, Leo, right? Can you see mama? Can you see your mama? He's probably dazed. He's like out of it. Like he's.
Really?
Yeah.
And then
He's fine, but he's.
His eye was just rolling back right now.
Yeah, and then he was
See.
like running like he doesn't.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Here, let's pat him again.
I knew.
Just hold him. Over your, bend your knee, bend your knee.
There you go.
And just.
I don't know. He's in the shower, so he might have got some water. We're not
He gargled when I first got here. He like gargled up some fluid, but he's crying and breathing and.
Here's some good. It's okay. Here. You okay?
We got him to breathe. He's still in medical.
10-4, they're en route.
I got 5 kids. Honor and privilege to meet you. Hope I can do this. Board of Supervisors proclamation honoring Deputy Sheriff Valentino Aguirre. Did I pronounce it right? Aguirre. Okay. Whereas Yuba County Deputy Sheriff Valentino Aguirre began his law enforcement career as a reserve deputy sheriff in March 2015 while attending the Modular Police Academy at Yuba College and the American River College. And whereas Deputy Aguirre, called Tino by his sheriff's office team, began working full-time with the department February 17, 2016. And whereas during the course of his career, Deputy Aguirre held a number of different assignments, including Reserve Deputy Sheriff and Correctional Officer. And whereas Deputy Aguirre consistently exhibits leadership and dedication to the Sheriff's Office mission through his hard work, dedication, and commitment, most notably through the recovery of stolen vehicles, which has led to numerous arrests, and in September 2019 earned him a Sheriff's Commendation after getting his third 10851 pin from the CHP. And whereas on May 26th of this year, all of Deputy Aguirre's training and work came together during a response on Tyler Avenue in Linda, where he found a woman holding a 1-year infant who was unconscious and not breathing. And whereas without hesitation, Deputy Aguirre began life-saving measures, performing CPR for over 2 minutes until that wonderful moment when the child began breathing and regained consciousness. And whereas the child is now fully recovered and with his family, on the joyful side of a horrifying moment that needed the right person to step in and employ a single heroic act that preserved a precious life. And whereas Deputy Aguirre, calm and quick action in saving the child's life is a strong reflection of the bottom line focus of the Yuba County Sheriff's Department to protect life and instill a sense of pride and appreciation among the entire Yuba County team, and certainly brings the same feeling of pride to his wife, Magdalena, and their 2 young children. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the Yuba County Board of Supervisors hereby commends Yuba County Deputy Sheriff Valentino Aguirre for his quick action in saving a life and thanks him for his daily efforts to serve our community. In today's society, we paint law enforcement with a broad brush, and this is a fine example of the people that are in the Yuba County Sheriff's Department. And I just get, thank you very much. Thank you. All right.
I just want to say thank you for everyone that came out today. Thank you for the sheriff. I know I'm getting the award today, but all glory to God. I thank you for the family to come out today too, and just thank you. Thank you all.
You have kids and have a dry eyes. Thank you again, Tina. All right. County departments. 316, Human Resources approved MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with the Yuba County Deputy District Attorneys Association for a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2024, and authorize the chair to execute.
Good morning, Chair.
Morning.
Members of the board. Cindy Clark from Human Resources, and with me, let me introduce Leah Williams. She's an analyst also from HR. So before you have several items that are before you that are related to the negotiated contract with the Deputy District Attorneys Association and also the county salary schedule. I'm going to be turning it over to Leah because she's worked hard and she is best suited to address your board.
Good morning and thank you. My first time speaking to the board, that's a tough act to follow. So we'll get through this though. So the first item on the board agenda for approval is the negotiated agreement with the county's Deputies District Attorneys Association. The county met and conferred with the DDA over the last few months and have agreed upon the following terms. We got a 3-year agreement from July the 1st of 2021 that will go through June 30th of 2024. Beginning in January of 2024, the county will provide paid deferred compensation match based on their years of service. Starting in January of 2022, we'll have a cap on our health, dental, vision insurance, and that has an annual adjustment rate. Effective July 1st of this year, we'll have a 4% market adjustment that will continue July 1st of 2022, and then in July 1st of 2023, we'll have a 3% market adjustment. For our salary adjustments, we'll provide a $1,000 lump sum effective July the 1st. And in July 1st of 2022 and 2023, the COLA will vary between 1.5% and 2.5% based on the April 2022 California Consumer Price Index. The cost of this 3-year contract is estimated to be $139,000 to the general fund. In the initial year, this cost will be absorbed by salary savings, and the rest will be provided through a mid-year budget adjustment. Future costs will be incorporated into the respective budgets. Any questions?
Questions from the board? No. Any questions from the public? Bring it back to the board.
So move.
Huh?
Do we need a motion?
Need a motion?
I
Yes.
so move.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent. Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Motion passes.
Okay. Item 319, Human Resources, adopt a resolution amending classification system basic salary hourly schedule effective April 1st, 2021, and adopt a resolution adopting the Yuba County classification system. Okay.
So
You're on.
under this agenda item, we actually need 2 actions. The first one, Human Resources seeks to correct an error that was made to the salary schedule earlier this year. The class of probation analyst was prematurely removed from the salary schedule in April of 2021. However, that position is still occupied by a retired annuitant. And the resolution, we just want to correct that error so that it's on the salary schedule. Our second one is we have to approve the salary schedule in its entirety every July that has our contractual obligations in it, our classification changes, anything that was part of the budget process. And so just a summary of the changes. In your board staff memo, there's a lot. It gives the details, so I won't bore you with reading that. So we do have contractual salary adjustments to DSA, MSA, PPOA, DDAA, and the non-representative safety groups within the Sheriff's Office and Probation Department. Additionally, we're adding the class of investigative assistant to the Deputy District Attorney's Office, which was approved as part of the preliminary budget. We have an increased base salary for the Director of Environmental Health to address an internal equity issue. And we're also adding the class of correctional corporal, and we're collapsing the accounting 1-2 series following a meet and confer process with the unions. This action is largely administrative only. The increased costs for many of these were included in the preliminary budget. However, any of the remainder costs will be handled through adjustments made at mid-year. Additionally, Human Resources has provided the clerk of the board a corrected attachment A, page 7 of 16 in the resolution to approve the salary schedule in its entirety effective July the 1st. This corrects the base rate for the Director of Environmental Health from $7,766 to $7,776. Any questions?
Don't spend it all in one place.
I move that we amend.
Okay, we got a motion
Second.
and we have a second. Roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent. Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Motion passes.
I move that we adopt the classification system.
Okay. Are you,
Second.
okay, motion is second. Roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent, Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. That was easy. For me, I guess. All right. County Administrator. You want? Grace. Good morning. Yeah. You bring good news to the county.
I have to tell you, I agree with Leah. Following that last special presentation is a little tough.
Let me tell you. Yes.
Grace Mall, County Administrator's Office. The Yuba Water Agency has loaned from its reserve fund, which is held in the county treasury, an amount equal to the county's annual lump sum PERS UAL payment since fiscal year 2017-18. The county in turn has made monthly payments along with the actual pooled interest rate. This arrangement has saved the county approximately $300,000 per fiscal year and has not negatively impacted the water agency, as the agency earns the same interest rates as if the funds remained in the pool. The Yuba Water Agency Board of Directors recently approved the 21-22 loan request in the amount of $12,786,132 at last week's board meeting. Staff is requesting that your board make the same approval today. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? I'll entertain a
I so
motion.
move.
We have
Second.
a second. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent, Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Wow. What a day. Get to give $12 million and thank a man for saving a life. Life doesn't get any better. Health and Human Services requests to solicit proposals, it used to be able to talk, for homeless shelter providers to operate and maintain county-sponsored emergency shelter facility, better known as 14 Forward, and collaborate with county on development of permanent shelter facility.
Good morning, Chair Pro Tem, Board of Supervisors. I am Megan Marshall, your Yuba County Department of Health and Human Services Public Health Deputy Director. It is my honor to make my first address to this board to request the authority to solicit proposals for a community-based organization to operate and maintain a shelter facility, wraparound services for our unsheltered population. Opening in July of 2016 as an immediate temporary solution to addressing homelessness, 14 Forward was one of the first homeless initiatives in Yuba County. Initially operated by the county with resources provided by many departments, including Health and Human Services, Community Development, Code Enforcement, Public Works, County Council, the Sheriff's Department, and Fire Department, it became very quickly apparent it was in the interest of the economy and efficiency to contract services with a community-based organization. At the time of this transition in November of 2019, the Salvation Army was the only community partner interested in assuming the role and responsibility of shelter operator at 14 Forward. With the contract with the Salvation Army now expired, new community partners potentially interested in competing for this service, and the position of the county to explore the development of a longer-term permanent shelter structure, we are seeking the board's approval to publish and publicize the RFP for this service. With that, I will thank the chair and the board for its time and can do my best to answer any questions or concerns you may have. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
A few.
Sure.
Did Salvation Army express interest in continuing or not continuing?
They will compete.
Okay. And do we have any ideas who the other community partners might want to be that would compete?
Sure. So Habitat for Humanity has expressed interest, as has Hands for Hope.
Thank you.
So there's what, 24 units there now?
25, and it serves a
25.
population of 50 adults at any given point in time.
And you're kind of maxed out on space, or are you planning on adding any? I think you're kind of full down there, aren't you?
Pretty full. And as you know, these are temporary structures that are not meant for long-term permanent habitation.
Right.
And so what the county is proposing to do is to look at additional permanent structure sites while whomever is chosen to be the operator 14 Forward continues that operation while we explore a permanent structure.
Okay, I don't think they have any heating or air.
That's correct.
Or power at all, right?
I've just learned this morning from from the CAO that PG&E lending of power was meant to be temporary, but here we are 5 years later, still using temporary power.
But there's no power to the structures themselves.
The structures themselves, no, but the
Right.
site does have staff facility and a location where the residents, the tenants can come in to cool down or to heat up depending upon the season.
Yeah, but it's still a big step up from where they were.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
Another question, if I could. What is the current amount of funding we're doing yearly to the Salvation Army for it?
I don't have that figure in front of me.
Okay.
I do apologize.
No problem.
Have you looked at some of the new modules being made out at the airport? Foam?
Do you mean the pallet homes?
Yes.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Because they're a lot cheaper than Daryl Steinberg's $300,000 per unit.
Having just come from the county of Sacramento, I would agree with you.
Yeah. Daryl never met a dollar he didn't like to spend toward the homeless. They have gated, you know about the gated
I do.
communities, and you know about the neighborhoods. I got a tour of some of the neighborhoods, and they go in these, and they want to put these camps in regular neighborhoods. So I hope we do a lot better job on that.
I'm sure we can.
Okay, any questions from the public? There being none, I'll bring it back to the board.
I make the motion.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent, Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. All right, next item is ordinances and public hearing.
If you challenge in court the action or decision of the Yuba County Board of Supervisors regarding a zoning, planning, land use, or environmental protection matter made at any hearing described in this notice, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at such hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the Yuba County Board of Supervisors at or prior to such hearing. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual or group.
Let's see. 2013. County Administrator and Amy. Snuck up on me. I didn't recognize you without your mask. No. You're on. You're on. Okay. We'll open the public hearing. We'll waive the second reading. And you want to go ahead?
Good morning, board members.
Yes.
Jamie Yang, Management Analyst with the County Administrator's Office. This is the second reading of Chapter 2.160, titled County Seal and County Logo. There has been no changes since the first reading, which took place on June 22nd. Just to recap, at the last boarding in March, your board requested that staff bring forward at a future board meeting a county seal use policy or ordinance update as applicable for consideration. This request was related to discovering the need for additional language in the county ordinance codes as a result of a local fire district requesting to incorporate the county seal into its logo or seal. Chapter 2.160, titled County Seal and County Logo, seeks to reestablish and readopt the county seal and the county logo, as well as define the appropriate uses, non-department request, policy, and penalties. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the public? We'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. We're going smooth.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Oh, close public hearing. All right.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhr,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent, Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Motion passes.
Okay. All right, correspondence. I think we'll accept the correspondence as in the packet. Okay, board and staff member reports. Don, Mr. Blazer.
Well, I still would like to thank the public for coming forward and stating their positions on a number of issues. It's refreshing. It's the way it should happen. And it brings things to light and makes us think about some various issues. So thanks.
Okay, Ms. Fuhrer.
The first lady who spoke today, according to the, concerning the road, I'm hoping Mike Lee can perhaps give us some information about that. So if I can direct staff to do that. And then I had also asked staff to bring forward I believe, a weapons policy about 3 months ago. And I keep hoping to see that on the agenda. And I'm thinking 3 months has been long enough and maybe we could see that. I also agree with many of the points that were brought up by other speakers. I don't like everything about this. There's some impositions on private business in some of these resolutions, but some of the core ideas are good. So if this is something that we can modify to be appropriate and bring it forward in an agenda as requested by the public, I would look forward to that as well.
I would support that also, in that it is an experimental drug, and we're over 18. We should be allowed to make our own choices. So, and children with masks is an absolute disaster. The 0 to 17 in the statistics from CDC, less than 1% of all the people, all those did not test positive. So I think that King Gavin needs to go with CDC. But yes, if you would look into that, we'd appreciate that. Any comments from CEO?
I'll follow up with County Council and we'll review the 2 resolutions that were presented today and bring back versions as, maybe, or at least evaluate. If not, why not?
Fair enough. Silence is consent. Isn't that how that works? All right.
I just wanted to bring to the board's attention, the date has been set for the recall election, September 14th. That's also a board meeting day, and also the date that was set for the final budget hearing. So we are not going to have the board chambers available on September 14th. Elections will consume the chambers that day. So we'll have to either do a Zoom board meeting that day or find an alternate location and maybe do a hybrid. So we'll be working on that. Tracy's Diner. Okay. If we have an alternate location, it does need to be in the county seat. I believe that's one of the requirements of holding the board meeting. So anyway, so we'll be.
Can we just direct you to make it a Zoom meeting?
That would actually be the easiest.
So we just direct you. So I move that we direct you.
All right. Thank you.
Anything further, County Council?
No, sir. Thank you.
Anything from the public? Well, you get a chance. This has actually been a great day for me. I got to congratulate a deputy for saving a life and spend $12 million in water agency's money. So it's a thank you note to Gary and Randy. All right, we got closed session next, so we're going to take a 5-minute break. Is that okay? Okay, 5-minute break. I'll see you in closed session. Items for closed session is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54957.6. Agency conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1, national prescription opiate litigation, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, Arnell versus County of Yuba. And with that, I'm going to take a break. Okay. All right, we have, it's 1:30. We have an administrative hearing. If a party of the hearing before the Yuba County Board of Supervisors seeks to challenge in court. You want to take care of that, Mary?
If a party to a hearing before the Yuba County Board of Supervisors seeks to challenge in court a decision of the board pursuant to Yuba County Ordinance Code 1.16.070 and California Code of Civil Procedure 1094.6, any application for judicial review of such decision must be filed in the appropriate court no later than the 90th day following the date on which a board decision was made.
All right. Morning, Kevin. That's
Morning.
afternoon, you know, wide awake. Okay, we're gonna open the public hearing, I guess. And we're gonna have, so you know what's gonna happen, staff will present, the appellate will present the applicant, and then the public, in that order, and then the appellate again. So, all right, Kevin?
Through the chair, I'm Kevin Perkins, Yuba County Planning Manager. We have before you today is a record appeal of the Development Review Committee's decision to approve administrative use permit 2021-0003. I am going to turn over the presentation to Vanessa Rankin, who is a planner in the planning department, who is the project planner on this. And she's going to go through a brief history of how we got here and go over a couple of project details. Once her presentation's done and we're back to your board asking questions to staff, I'll be answering the questions for staff. So I'm going to turn this over to Vanessa right now. Thank you.
Through the chair, good morning. My name is Vanessa Franken, as Kevin has noted. I'm a planner here with the County Community Development Services Agency. I'll be presenting some background information on the subject record appeal regarding an administrative use permit for a second home on the subject property. The project number associated with this project is AP 2021-003. As you can see here, we have an aerial image of the Yuba County foothills, the general area of focus for this project. The beginning of this project began in January of this year when the planning department received an admin use permit application for a second home. Our current ordinance states that an administrative use permit is needed when a second home surpasses 1,200 square feet in size. The proposed home in question is 2,016 square feet in size. Here, indicated by the yellow spotlight, is where we'll be taking a closer look. The subject property is located within Peoria Ridge Estates. Yellow indicates individual properties nearby in the area. Underlying red indicates county-maintained roads. Our subject property is outlined in red near the bottom of this image. After receiving the use permit application, project information is routed to our County Development Services Agency departments: Building, Environmental Health, Public Works, Planning, for review and conditions of approval. As required by ordinance, we notify nearby properties within a 1,000-foot radius for the project with the purpose of allowing objections to be raised. Absent any objection, staff would approve the project. Zooming in once more, we have the property in focus to give you guys a general outlay of where the property is. Surrounding properties, as you can see, are similar in size with similar structures. I have indicated here a rough estimate as to where the proposed second home is to be located at. Here is a public street view of the project. The primary house in this image is occupied by the applicant's parents. The site itself is on a slope with the rear of the property lower in elevation to the extent that the second home will not be visible from street view. Presented here is the site plan received with application. Relevant setbacks from structures, property lines, and septic systems are met. In February of this year, we received an appeal request and petition letters. A hearing was scheduled for April with our Development Review Committee. The item was heard, and the committee chose to continue the item to ensure consideration of the concerns that were brought up. Public comment period was closed following. The item was then scheduled for May after research into the concerns had been completed. The Development Review Committee unanimously approved the project on this date. Following approval, an appeal request was received during the 10-day appeal period, and a record appeal was scheduled for this month. To go over some of our ordinance regulations, when a second home is 1,200 square feet or less, it solely requires a building permit. Our ordinance requires an administrative use permit for homes surpassing this square footage. Had this home been some 800 square feet or less, the home would have been approved through a standard building permit. The Development Review Committee unanimously approved the project, subject to the drafted findings in the project staff report. My verbatim findings may be referenced in this document you have before you. Summarized here in my presentation are the findings I will discuss. Finding A second home is allowed by zoning right. Sorry, excuse me, I have something in my presentation. A second home is allowed by zoning right. Our ordinance table requires an admin use permit for homes 1,200 square feet and above. Finding B, the proposed project is consistent with our general plan designation of rural community, and the project offers lower cost housing option with an existing neighborhood. The secondary home is a valuable form of housing in this area. It adds security for family members and additional community members being introduced into the surrounding area as well. The second home will not be adverse to public health or safety. It is a valuable form of affordable housing for family members in an existing neighborhood. Continuing on to move to the rest of my findings, I'll start off with E. Design review is not a requirement for this area. Applicable development standards indicated within our Yuba County Ordinance Code will be maintained and required. The proposed housing will meet needs of existing and future residents with this existing community. As I noted earlier, the primary house is occupied by the applicant's parents, and the applicants are proposing to live in the secondary house that is proposed. Moving on to finding G, the site is physically suitable. Its sheer size can accommodate a new home. Setbacks are met, septic and well are available, and can service the new home. Mentioning the last finding, which is that the project is exempt per section 15303 of the California Environmental Quality Act, new construction of the CEQA guidelines. And I would like to conclude my presentation by asking the board that they find the Development Review Committee properly approve the subject use permit and hereby approve the admin use permit and adopt the stated findings in the original staff report. I would like to now ask if the board would have questions for me or if they would like to speak to the applicant.
I don't really have any questions because you did a remarkable job on this, like a 40-page document here. And every question I have, you've already answered in this review that you did. So I think I'm good.
Chair, thank you.
Yes, you did a very good job. You answered all 5 questions that were.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Is he still? Mr. Fuhrer.
No questions.
Okay, there you
Thank
are. I don't know how he holds still that long. Okay, there are no questions, then the appellant. Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Schrader. Who's appealing?
The appellant was Kevin Schrader. I do not see him in the room right now.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll get to that later, but okay. I guess then we go straight to the applicant. Next, the applicant.
Good afternoon. My name is Angela Mills. My husband Sky and I are the applicants for the administrative use permit, and my parents Ted and Nancy on the primary property on Turkey Hollow. My family, as well as my parents, who were our neighbors, were 2 of the 7 homes eminent domained for the new levee on Hamilton, Smartsville, and Brophy Road. The 5-acre property on Turkey Hollow, with more than enough room for 2 homes, was purchased by my parents in February of 2020 to return all of us to the like situation that we had before. The primary home is very close to what they had prior, and the land provides more than enough room for us to place an additional dwelling unit. This would keep us together as a family and provide my parents with our presence if needed as they age. This was how we lived on Brophy Road before the disruption of the levee, and this would return us to the living situation that we had before. Probably the most important item to stress again is that Yuba County allows ADUs over 1,200 square feet through their county ordinances. This falls in line with the California ADU law that states maximum unit sizes by ordinance can't exceed 1,200 square feet for ADUs. The state has also placed protection for ADUs through Assembly Bill 670. This bill has ensured that ADUs can go in any neighborhood without restrictions on design or construction of state-approved ADUs. Manufactured homes are a county and state-approved ADU. They are also subject to the most current California building standards codes, the same as all site-build residential occupancies in California. California also states any permit for an ADU should not pass 60 days or be subject to a hearing. Yet here we are 6 months later. I would like to address the issue that Kevin and Terry Schrader included in their appeal letter to you. They have falsely stated that my home has T111 siding and not the cement siding or stucco siding they claim most of the homes in the neighborhood have. Actually, our house has cement siding and in fact comes standard with it. They also state our house has a flat roof that does not match the other homes in the neighborhood. This is also false. As they are well aware, our home does not have a flat roof. The roof is a 412 pitch. As recorded at our last hearing, there are several homes and numerous outbuildings with the same pitch as ours throughout the neighborhood, even rectangle-shaped ones. I would like to reiterate that the planning department has approved our project and has deemed that it is completely compatible with the surrounding properties, including my parents' primary home. It was also unanimously approved by the Design Review Committee. As a final word, I would like to take a moment to compliment the planning department for their guidance while we maneuvered through this very long process. Vanessa Franken and Kevin Perkins have been very helpful, extremely knowledgeable, and supportive. They have always responded to me promptly and professionally when I had questions. Eminent domain is a very, very, very difficult process to go through. I don't wish it on anyone. However, Three Rivers Levee Improvement Agency always treated our family with respect and kindness, fairness. I think they tried to make a very difficult process as comfortable as possible, and I do thank them for that. Thank you.
Through the chair, I just want to mention we did receive for the record 2 letters, one from Pete and Judy Hansen. And we also received one from Rebecca Lynette Leon, which will be entered. And we do have one card from Mr. Pete Hansen.
Good afternoon. My name's Pete Hansen. My wife and I built our home in Peoria Ridge Estates almost 20 years ago. The primary reason we chose Peoria Ridge Estates were because of the CCNRs established, the architectural controls, and the fact that the county had zoned this property as 5-acre rural residential single-family homes. I understand that with the new state legislation, ADUs are being promoted, and Yuba County has established development codes to address ADUs. As part of the Development Review Committee staff report, states from chapter 11.06, the purpose of rural districts is to allow the development of low-density, large lot, single-family homes and related uses in rural counties. The development code that actually allows the ADUs does limit the size to 1,200 square feet, with administrative use permits allowing more than 1,200 square foot. This particular property is almost 70% larger than the 1,200 square foot that was originally established. Where do you draw the line? Do you start allowing 200% increase over the limit? Why do we even have a limit? The second dwelling unit also should be designed and constructed so as to be compatible with the existing neighborhood. The existing neighborhood is single-family residential homes, custom built. They're not modular homes and they're not mobile homes. If we allow a modular home to be built, what is the next ADU for our development going to consist of? Are we going to end up with single wide mobile homes as well? Obviously, this will detract from the neighborhood, and this will also cause property values to decrease. Another concern that I have is we established a county service area for our road maintenance in the development. By allowing this additional dwelling unit at 70% increase over the limitation of 1,200 square feet, you're basically subdividing our 5-acre lots into 2.5-acre lots with the possibility of double the number of people in the development, which also means possibility of double the number of vehicles in the development. Has there been any consideration toward the CSA and funding the CSA for this additional traffic as well? My wife and I are totally against this. You have a petition in front of you that was also entered into the record, and the majority of the homeowners in the development are against this as well. So as our board members, I'm asking that you don't make a rash decision, that you think this over carefully and realize that, you know, we have a development that's been established for some time with people that are against this, the majority being the current homeowners. So again, I wish that you would not make a rash decision on this. I'm not too happy that the board member that actually represents our district is not even available to be part of this vote. But again, please take that into consideration.
I think we have a hand raised here it says Kevin's phone. So who would that be?
Yeah, hey, Kevin Schrader. Sorry, I'm unable to get away from work today. Actually, currently, so I was unable to get pulled over in time. So yes, you did receive my letter. I think it explains my concerns, kind of in line with Mr. Hansen's and the rest of the neighborhood. You know, we are pretty tight-knit residential, and you know, our thinking on this is we are not trying to prevent a second home from being placed on the property. It's the type of construction that we're concerned about as a community. Once again, I think all my stuff is written in my letter, and I will, you know, agree with Mr. Hansen. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Schrader. All right. Now we have appellant. Okay, we'll go to the public. All right. We did, that was it. That was it. Okay, are there any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I don't have any questions.
We do have Seth on Zoom, right?
Yes, I did have a question for Kevin. I assume that even though we approve it at the county level, the CC&Rs, that's taken care of by a local group, and we are not making any determinations about that. And that's not enforced through the county. That's enforced through whatever agreement they have, correct?
Yes, you're correct. CC&Rs are a civil or civilly enforced.
All right. So what we're saying is we're going to approve this because they did the appropriate things that the county required, and we did not have requirements about their neighborhood. That's something that they had in a separate organization, and that separate organization will have to resolve those issues with them.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, then I will make the motion to approve staff's recommendation.
If you're ready, I can second it.
All right.
And what I would suggest is we close the public hearing.
All right, let's close the public hearing.
This is a matter that requires findings of fact. I would recommend that at this point in time, the motion be a tentative decision by the board, that we then come back in 2 weeks' time to the next board meeting with the findings and orders for final approval by the board. That way, the board can ensure that the findings match exactly the thought process of this board in making its decision. If that's acceptable to the chair.
Would you?
Yeah, we should have.
Seth, would you modify?
Randy should be back to take part in that, right?
Seth, would you modify your motion to?
Tentative approval.
Tentative approval.
Sorry, tentative denial of the appeal and approval of the administrative use permit.
Seth, are you still there?
I'm here. I don't know why I have to do tentative.
Because that way we can have staff research and make sure we've got everything covered.
The reason for it, if I may, is if the board issues a final decision today, the court, looking at the findings and orders, can determine that there are post hoc rationalization for the decision of the board rather than a tentative decision today, and then the board review the findings and order and adopt those findings and orders as its reasoning for the decision made today. So it's actually rather common in land use matters to proceed in that fashion. In fact, if you look at the DRC transcripts, you'll see at the end of the first hearing, they actually did close the hearing and continue the matter for a couple weeks to come back and make their final decision. So
Okay.
that would be my recommendation.
Seth?
I will happily amend my motion to be tentative so that we can give time for reflection and meditation upon this information before we can come to a definitive.
All right. All right, Seth, thank you very much.
I will still second that.
Okay. All right. Well, at this point in time, we'll have a roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez,
Yes.
Supervisor Blazer,
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhrer,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford is absent, Supervisor Fletcher is absent. Motion passes. Thank you.
And thank you. And this matter will come back to the board on July 27 during the regular board meeting for final approval of the findings and orders.
And at that point, we'll have the complete board.
Right.
Yes, sir. And the absent board members, if they review the proceedings that occurred here today, they can vote on the findings and orders. If they do not review those materials, then they cannot vote on the findings and orders. One final matter, if I may, Mr. Chair. This morning, the board met in closed session on items 65, 2021, 339, 2021, 349, 2021, 350, 2021. Supervisors, I'm drawing a blank, Bradford and Fletcher were absent. All other members were present. No reportable action was taken by the board at that time. That concludes the report out from closed session earlier today. Thank you.
Okay. That being said, this meeting is adjourned.
That's what I'm saying. They approved it pending our CC&R, pending our approvals. Pending Bill's approval. Bell is not going to approve it.